It takes courage to face the anxiety. It takes courage to face the feelings of vulnerability. It takes courage to have the difficult conversations. It takes courage to discipline our behavioral modification plans. All of that is a form of courage. It's a form of battling.
It's the spirit in mind. It's the spirit in mind. Keep the spirit in mind.
One of the reasons why we're doing this particular series is so that we can help continue to break the stigma. We want people to get the help. We know that help is available, and we want people to know that we're listening, we're hearing, the attention is on you, and we want you to be able to get that help. Uh, it's so interesting, Bishop, as we were dialoguing in preparation for this particular episode, we're just noticing that our Black men are being spotlighted in the news more recently. We have seen where there's been pretty noted conversations and publicity around Black men with the attempts to hurt, or at least attempt to hurt, the President of the United States, the administration, shots fired at the White House. And what's unusual, and yes, I can say it's unusual if you look at the trend, is that these are Black men. Um, Typically, we don't see these type of behaviors within Black men. Not saying it is not possible, because again, if you even look at back in the early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken, the Beltway shooter were black Black men, which was unusual at that time. So I want to be clear that I am not stereotyping, but it is unusual that we have noted that the last few recent incidents on the president or his cabinet or at the state where he resides have been on Black men. And that has troubled me. I'll be honest with you. It has really troubled me. Has let me know that there is a shift that is occurring, or may has already occurred and continue to occur, where people are not well. People are not well, um, and it is infiltrating more into areas and lives of people who we normally don't see them reacting the way in which they do. My heart goes out to those persons, to those shooters, the people who were attempting to take the lives of others. Yeah, my heart really goes out to them. And it makes me wonder, like what was going through their head? You know, what what things were they suffering from? Were they suffering from depression? Were they suffering from any other type of mental health disorder? Um, Bishop, again, I take what you said so serious, is that we will throw other things to say, well, I'm okay, and recognizing that we're really not okay. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think about just various other people. I'm even trying to think of other people within the scriptures, where people may have said, "Hey, I'm okay," but really they're not okay. Um, those things we want people to know, that emotional masking, it's not okay. Um, the hurt that you may have suffered from, that may have caused you to have the emotional masking, that can be helped, that can be healed, that can be dealt with. But to not do anything about it is what really hurts me, and what I see has paralyzed our men, paralyzed our society, to make us think that we're okay. I'll just say this one point. One of the things that I see from a medical standpoint is that when you don't deal with it, it tends to come out in other areas of your body,
Right.
especially physically. You feel a lot of tension in your shoulders, um, tension in your body, back pain, just uncomfortability, abdominal distress. Some of you are wondering why you have issues with constipation, diarrhea, upset stomach. And a lot of that has to do with that emotional masking that, let me tell you, your physical body will tell off on you. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so yeah, if that is you, we're coming for you. We want you to know you don't have to suffer in silence. We really don't.
Yeah, yeah, and a part of the concern, as we're talking again about mental health concerns with men, part of the concern is profoundly, and again, it's not exhaustive, but I do want to address this again, the social conditioning parts, particularly when we bring in the subject of um, uh, the Judeo-Christian and biblical history tradition. There's a cultural component here. This idea of emotional masking does have some strong association with Western concepts of masculinity.
Mm,
In this sense, um, uh, in the scriptures, emotions are expressed in some different ways. There was the historical acts of men putting on sackcloth and ashes,
mm,
which was a public display
mm,
of bereavement and grief, renting their clothes. All those things were really at least moments of saying, I'm not okay. There were these moments, and there was some room for David to be recognized as both the sweet psalmist of Israel, very emotional capacity,
mm,
and a giant slayer.
mm,
And
mhm,
so there was room for this catharsis. In fact, when we read some of the Psalms that David wrote, it's very expressive. Look at Psalm 42 and look at some of the symptoms of depression
mm,
that are listed today, affecting my appetite. My tears have become my meat night and day. So there was this ability to express oneself in ways that Western social concepts do not traditionally have. David's mighty men at Ziklag, they were enough to be called the mighty men,
mm,
but they were also recorded as weeping until they had no more power to weep when they were dealing with the losses that they experienced. And so it's a different cultural context, it's a different civilization, it's a different part of the world, but it is a part of the world in which masculinity accommodated the expressions of grief in ways that our postmodern culture has traditionally tended to try to suppress in our westernized context. I want to bring that up to just say that some of that socialization has to be recognized
mm.
as unhealthy for our wellness as men.
Yeah, yeah. And thank you for bringing that up because, and as you have done, Bishop, and as I have also traveled, it's amazing that when you check in with men from other cultures, or when they come here to the United States of America, they are amazed by our inability to share or even share as much compassion. Again, we're not stereotyping all men, but it is very different. I've had the opportunity to travel to the countries of Mozambique and South Africa, Kenya, and it's amazing that the level of vulnerability and the expression from men is very different from what we see here in the United States of America. It's almost as if it's not almost as if we have to act a certain way, that we have been taught to act a certain way here, that we're not allowed to share our emotions, that we're not allowed to share when we're going through. and knowing that physically it's coming out on us. So I hear that. I hear that. And again, we want people to know it is okay to say something as we're going into these various different months where we are lifting up men. We are really sounding the alarm. These episodes that we are sharing with you through our platform, through Spirit and Mind, I believe will save lives, can change lives, can help lives, to help the lives of our men. And when you are intentional, as we're being intentional in doing, you will see results. And so I'm grateful that we have focused in on this particular topics. We're zoned in on our men. Um, and I'm loving to see what's going to continue to happen with this series. We've talked about irritability, we talked about poor concentration, the emotional masking. So, Bishop, I know as we are beginning to wind down here, there's some things that we want to make sure that we share with people that uh, if you are in need of direct care services, reach out to us. I also tell people that when you are depressed, we want you to know there's certain things that you can do to even help boost your own um, your own self esteem, work on your own mental well being. One of the main things to do is to number one recognize how you're waking up in the morning and what you're doing in the morning, how you start your day. Start your day with prayer and meditation. When we talked about this previously, if you're working out of bed and you're angry, already upset, irritated, we need to figure out what's going on with you. If you're waking out of bed and you can't remember what you need to do for the day, something something's going on with that. Um, so how you start your day is so important. Um, as believers, you start our day with prayer, meditation. If you're not doing that, we encourage you to do that. We're not here to beat up on you, but there's something that happens when you start your day prayer meditation. It just sets the right mood. It helps get you started. And then watch what you're eating, your diet, what you're consuming during that time. And then the last thing, watch what you're taking in, not just consuming physically, but consuming through your eye gates, through your senses, what you're listening to, what you're watching through your eyes, hearing, and making sure that that is helping you. These are just some simple things that you can do to help combat against those depressive symptoms.
Absolutely. And my contribution to that list of things you would do as we get ready to close would be, and my prayer for us as men. One is remove the excuses.
Mm,
Um, again, as we started off earlier saying, there's something in us that would like to prefer to say it's this as opposed to that. And that can work in certain ways. Remove the excuses that society is given. I've seen people, there's something in us that would rather say, okay, this is the problem, not that. As Dr. Shepard said, I'd rather say it's this, I'd rather say it's depression than ADHD. I'd rather say this than that. And that's human nature. I'd rather say it's spiritual than psychological,
wow.
or I'd rather say it's psychological than spiritual,
Mhm.
because that's a thing too.
Yeah.
So we kind of like to choose and pick and choose. But I hope that we can remove those excuses, remove the excuses that have been put on us by westernized concepts of masculinity, being stoic and not being emotional. We're really denying our own humanity. To be emotional is part of our humanity. And so we're really making ourselves subhuman when we dismiss this important attribute and characteristic of our humanity. We are emotional beings. So we may have to dismiss some of those errors that give us excuses. And then shift our mindset. That's my last thing we'll pick up later, but shift our mindset. It is still very much to seek out help is not an act of weakness, it's an act of courage.
Yeah.
It's still a battle.
Yeah.
Thus, listen to our language. We say, I'm battling this condition. I'm
Right.
battling that condition. Because it takes courage to face the anxiety. It takes courage to face the feelings of vulnerability. It takes courage to have the difficult conversations. It takes courage to discipline our behavioral modification plans. All of that is a form of courage. It's a form of battling. It's a form. And so I hope that this presentation today has helped you to see that it takes courage. Courage is not always the absence of certain feelings of anxiety and or fear. It is the determination to do what needs to be done in the face of feeling certain fears. So courage is not always fearlessness.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes courage is, I got some anxieties, I got some unease, I'm feeling a little insecure, but I am up to this fight. And so my prayer for you, my prayer for us is that we would see the courageousness in saying, I'm not okay, and do what we need to do to move towards being better.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great place to end. So we pray that we have encouraged you and lifted and increased your courage.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us. And by God's grace, we look forward to seeing you next time on Spirit in Mind.
The spirit in mind.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at Spirit in Mind, and we're also on Instagram at Spirit in Mind Live. Join us next time for a new episode of Spirit